Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Houston Texans. This is a squad that went 3-13-1 last year. However, their two draft picks selected at pick number 2 and 3 in CJ Stroud and Will Anderson Jr., two of the best players in the entire draft class. They completely changed the trajectory of the Houston Texans. Now, with that being said, don't take that as the Texans had a bad roster, or if they didn't get CJ Stroud and Will Anderson Jr., they weren't set up for success in the future. That's not quite what I mean. What I mean is the Houston Texans' future has already began. It's already began. Last year, we're throwing every statistic out of the window. DeMeco Ryans is a defensive mastermind, okay? And as just a head coach, I think he's a phenomenal leader of men. CJ Stroud, I think he's the best quarterback prospect ever out of Ohio State. I think he has the best arm talent out of any quarterback from Ohio State that I've ever seen. Will Anderson Jr., I think, is the best athlete in the entire class. So the Houston Texans had a great draft. They got a great head coach. They had a really sneaky good offseason. Anytime I look at this division in the AFC South, all I hear about are the Jacksonville Jaguars. People are already clowning Jacksonville as the divisional leaders. Now, I admit Trevor Lawrence is a good football. He's a great quarterback. I think he's really talented. They have a bright future. I think Anthony Richardson has a very bright future in this league. And I think Tennessee is still pretty good. My point is, the Houston Texans are getting completely overlooked in this division. The division in itself is being overlooked. People are already saying it's just not good. I don't think that's the case. And the Houston Texans are the certain dark horse in that division. Before we get any further into today's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. This is actually my first ever Houston Texans video. I have a Houston Rockets channel, so it's kind of weird that I have never made a Texans video. But Texans fans, if you could try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the world to me. I'm going to make more Texans videos regardless of how this does, so stay tuned for more. One of the reasons I'm making this video was because I was just watching the herd, and right now Colin's getting kind of flamed for a little bit of a hiccup in that segment, but he was saying, along with a lot of people are saying, that CJ Stroud, if there's going to be a quarterback in the first round, if there's going to be a quarterback bust from this year's class, a lot of people see it with CJ Stroud. I think this is, I don't think it's very educated, all right? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I think CJ Stroud, like I said not too long ago, is the best quarterback ever to come out of Ohio State. This past season, he threw for 41 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. The season before that, he had a completion percentage of 72, 44 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Now, I know the track record, the most recent track record has been that QBs coming out of Ohio State are always busts. Justin Fields, to me, has completely ended that, and I think it will be 100% certain, probably like 2 months into this upcoming season, that Justin Fields is the furthest thing from a bust. He's actually closer to a superstar than he is to a bust. So for me, I love CJ Stroud. I think he has everything I want in him. I really am not concerned in the slightest. I think at worst, I think his floor is Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott, I know Cowboy fans don't necessarily love him all the time, and he throws a bunch of interceptions. At the end of the day, Dak Prescott's still a good quarterback. But CJ Stroud was selected way ahead of him, so expectations are going to be way higher than they are even for America's team. That was said in quotes. You can't see me, though. When I look at the Texans offense, I do have some concerns. Like, for example, the right tackle position, I would just go sign a veteran. Like, probably yesterday is when I would have signed a veteran right tackle. So there are some, things about the offensive line. But as far as just talent goes, here's my take on Houston as a team. I think their defense this upcoming season is going to be more than serviceable. I think they'll probably hover around middle of the pack. I think that the eye test will showcase a lot more flashes than wherever they end up analytically. So I think their defense will be solid. I really do. And I think it'll be solid right away. In training camp, reportedly, the defense has been solid. Now, I know defenses are usually better than offenses to start off training camp, and we still are not into actually technically preseason quite yet. I guess the Hall of Fame game, but that's about it right now. I get it. I get it. The defense, though, I think it's going to be really solid. For me, with the offense, there's a lot, and I think the first half of the season is you're probably going to see a lot of inconsistencies. You're going to see a lot of mistakes. Stroud's going to make some mistakes. The offensive line's going to have some timing issues, some penalty issues, whatever it is. There will be some bad games, but there's going to be plenty of positives. There are going to be plenty of good games, and there's going to be just more than many occasions where you see the potential with this Houston Texans roster. But one thing I really like about this team is their offensive threats and their rising offensive threats that aren't necessarily established in this league quite yet, but Texans fans are extremely excited about. So I think that offense by the second half of the season will begin to get into gear. And I'm not saying Houston, I wouldn't be surprised if they won 9 games. I wouldn't be surprised if they won 6 games. I think realistically they'll probably be between 6 to 9 wins because, like I said, I think it might start off a little bit shakier than you would like. Just it's a rookie quarterback. It's a new head coach, new coordinators. It's just a young team, right? There's going to be mistakes. They got their tight end in Dalton Schultz, which I know the Cowgirls are going to really miss, even if they're coping right now by thinking they got some great tight end, which I don't think they did. Dalton Schultz, I don't think the Cowboys team, with the players or whatever, or sorry, the fans, I don't think they appreciated Dalton Schultz as much. So he's going to be a huge, solid, veteran-esque tight end to have for Mr. C.J. Stroud, which is a very big deal. And keep in mind, at the end of the day, Dalton Schultz is only 27. He turned 27 like less than a month ago. At wide receiver position, you have Robert Woods and you have Noah Brown. Robert Woods a little bit more of a veteran. Apparently, he has been flashing a lot of skill. I mean, Robert Woods is just a good wide receiver, solid veteran wide receiver to have. They also brought in Noah Brown from the Dallas Cowboys, who's not super old, but he's not super young. He's been in the league for, 5 seasons now? Outside of those two players, which are just really decent depth to have, we have a couple of players. Nico Collins, who, if he is healthy, this is a big year, I think, for Nico Collins because I actually just really want to see him healthy. Last season, 10 games. His rookie season, 12 games, 60 targets, 33 catches, about 500 yards. Former third-round pick out of Michigan in the 2021 draft. I do think we're going to see a big improvement from Nico, and I think he'll be one of C.J. Stroud's favorites. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this. I think C.J. Stroud was officially announced as preseason starter for Game 1. Some people think Davis Mills is going to be the starter. I don't know if it's been announced because, to me, as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be C.J., and I don't think it's close or would be close. But outside of Nico Collins, new addition, Tank Dell. Tank Dell was a freaking stud at Houston. So on my Houston guys, a lot of you guys probably know Tank Dell. In his last season, he had 109 catches. You did hear that right. He had 1,400 yards, and he had 17 total touchdowns catching. Yes, you also heard that right. So Nate Dell selected late. This isn't the biggest name that people were kind of anticipating. This is a guy still selected in the 3rd round. He 100% is going to have an impact next season. But I guess it's not, a top 10 wide receiver being selected or even a 1st-round wide receiver being selected. So I think he's kind of been, not getting as much praise outside of Texans fans as he should. And then you have John Mechie. John Mechie, the last time we saw him, at Bama, 96 catches, 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. This future offense is freaking loaded. And no, I did not forget about Xavier Hutchinson, who has been, I guess, looking great also in camp. Now, I know it is camp. We're taking all these things with a grain of salt, but, this is another rookie that's coming in here, selected in the 6th round, that I think will have an impact year 1. So regardless, this Texans team long-term, I love their general outlook, and it could happen this season. If not, it's a team to fear for the next couple of years. And we'd even mention any specifics on the defensive side of things. We'll save that for our next video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, hit that sub button. If you want more Houston Texans videos, let me know down below. Give me a win total down below, and I'll see you guys later.